To the Middle East now, where the U.S. military is rushing to build a temporary port along Gaza's coast to get more aid in. The White House calling this an emergency military mission. The U.S. and the Royal Jordanian Air Force airdropping more humanitarian aid on Friday, though many in the region are still suffering. And this is all happening as the U.S. Navy intercepted another round of Houthi-backed or based attacks in the Red Sea. NewsNation's Robert Sherman live for us in Tel Aviv tonight. Robert, how soon can this temporary port be ready to go?
Well, Natasha, it's hard to say specifically, but U.S. officials are hoping that this all comes together in the next few weeks. But what all mediating parties are really hoping for in the coming days is that a ceasefire and hostage release deal is agreed upon.
In Tel Aviv, Israelis rallying and demanding the release of hostages.
We came here tonight because we want people still talking about the situation.
Sunday marking the start of Ramadan as Israel's allies hope a hostage release and ceasefire deal can be struck.
Well, I think there is the chance for a ceasefire, but it requires Hamas, who should have released the hostages in my view already, but it needs them to sign up to the deal that Israel has agreed to release prisoners in their jails in return for hostage release. Hamas should sign that today.
Over 130 hostages are still being held in Gaza as Hamas refuses to negotiate a deal that doesn't lead to the withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza or end the war outright. The Israelis vowing to press forward into Rafah until Hamas is destroyed.
Israeli military will continue to operate against Hamas in all of the Gaza Strip, including in Rafah, Hamas's final stronghold. Whoever tells us not to act in Rafah is telling us to lose the war, and that will not happen.
As the humanitarian situation in Gaza worsens, President Biden in the State of the Union announcing the construction of a pier off Gaza's coast to allow aid in.
A temporary pier will enable a massive increase in the amount of humanitarian assistance getting into Gaza every day.
Aid will be brought in from Cyprus and given direct access to the enclave.
We are at the point where we simply have to unlock all possible routes.
In recent weeks, including Saturday, the U.S. dropping aid in from above, more than 30,000 meals at a time. The Pentagon refuting reports on the ground that some of the U.S.'s drops struck and harmed people in Gaza. Meanwhile, in the Red Sea, Central Command announcing they shot down over 24 drones Saturday, belonging to the Houthis who refuse to back down. As new recruits drill and train, the group insists they will continue to carry out attacks in the region as long as the war in Gaza continues.
We came here to witness the readiness and alertness against tyranny, against the arrogance of the U.S., U.K., and Israelis, and in support of our brothers in Gaza and Palestine.
And Hamas says that they have no interest in agreeing to a deal unless it leads to the ending of the war outright. They don't have a lot of optimism that a deal will come together by Ramadan, which is tomorrow. But still, mediating parties such as the U.S., Egypt, and Qatar say that those conversations will continue ongoing behind the scenes. Natasha.
Okay, Robert Sherman live for us in Israel right now. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.